Who would have thought that a boy like me?
Nothing better than listening to the ladies rock on a Monday morning, getting back in the saddle. Hopefully, everyone's feeling well. It is July 21st. My name is Scott Redler. I'm the Chief Strategic Officer of T3Live.com, founder of the Red Dog Mindset. What we try and do every morning is get our minds right, get situated, get our routine moving along, get prepared for the day with multiple strategies. So when the market triggers, we could execute with confidence. And all I know is that, every time I'm around for the weekend and I see people like Red Dog, like when's the market gonna go down? I'm like, why are you waiting for the market to go down? I'm like, we've been in one of the best active sequences we've had in a while where we're getting setups, and I'm trying to be careful too. And all of a sudden, there's just more action. Bottom line is, if you've taken a lot of my courses, when you're above the 821 day, it's very simple. You try and look for longs. You try and look for great setups. You try and look for relative strength. You look here at the year. Remember the W chart? First low, higher low. And then really this sequence started right here. Like you could have missed this whole thing and started right here on April 24th. And then look how we've been above the 21 day ever since. The entire time. And guess what? This portion to me was, I remember, a little harder. This was probably where I made the most of my money. Ever since we came in, didn't look like we were going to hold up, held the 21 day, did a red dog reversal. Yeah, everyone knows what a red dog reversal is, right? You get below a prior low, you reclaim it. It can either start a new sequence or it could be a good trade. And this turned into a sequence that gapped up above prior resistance. And we've been above it ever since. Even here, this outside day, a bearish chance that, remember the reversal in the XBI and the IWM, what do? They stopped some people out. For me, I got rid of, I was overhedged because we were overbought at the time. And now here we are. Spies are up $1.60 this morning. We're in the heart of earnings season. I have not been playing as many option plays for earnings because we haven't, lately it's like you make 2 out of 10 of them. Obviously those 2 pay for the other 10, but it's just not even worth it. So far I haven't played any of them. So far the banks, just to say the banks look fine. Like if you took a big option play into JP Morgan, guess what? You lost money. Now, if you want to say, hey, I'm going to be in it versus the 8 day, now it's a better setup. Goldman Sachs, same thing. They sold it on numbers. Okay. It was up $10. Everyone in their calls, like, I can't wait to make so much money. It went red and whatever. And now look how it's setting up. So don't be, have so much FOMO for all these earnings plays where they juice up the options on you and you have to take the perfect call spread, or it has to be so hated that better than feared will make you money. But anyway, this looks pretty good too. This is, this Goldman Sachs is rebuilding. But bottom line is, it was hard to make any money in the banks, but the banks came out good. But they were up a lot going in. And then Netflix, everyone's like, Red Dog, you got to play Netflix. I'm like, I'm not playing Netflix. I don't care. Meanwhile, Netflix got really beat up. Why? I guess it was a little price for perfection. If you think about, where it came from, you look at the long-term chart of Netflix, and people who are investors don't care. But what a big move. So, it had to be something, I guess, crazy different for it to, for it to perform afterwards. And now all of a sudden, what do you have? You have the low here, which is 1201. You'll see, I guess, if that holds. But I'm probably not going to trade it. So people like Red Dog, are you going to play, Tesla this week into the print or Google? Well, Google, I've been buying dips for like 2 weeks, and Google's been fantastic for me. It's slow, it's steady, it hasn't been where the action is, but every time it made a new high, I would trim options, and then it would come in and I would roll them into higher options and stay with the stock. And we made a lot of money the last 2 weeks in Google. It's still, this is the high at 207. It's almost near 188, which was one target. Remember, we're buying options in here, and then it did a small pause near this prior pivot, and then we bought options in here. And now I'm in the stock, and I got to figure out what I want to do for numbers, which I don't know yet. If you go to the weekly chart of Google, which I haven't looked at in a while, it's still, if you look at it, it hasn't done a whole lot of anything. It's just been in this range. Actually, let me clean this up a little bit because I haven't really looked at the weekly chart in a while. You could, if you get rid of this overthrow, which is what that was a false breakout, and then that, it's really since it's in the same exact spot it was a year ago in July, right? It's right now. What's today's date? Today it's like, we're in July, and here you are. We're not even back where we were a year ago. So it's had 4 quarters. So this kind of, it's not the exact same thing as Nvidia, but remember with Nvidia, I'm like, guys, Nvidia's been in a range for 4 or 5 months, and and it's had great quarters, and it's just been consolidating. We had a sick trade in a few trades in Nvidia, but anyway, so to me, this is a decent setup because it's been under accumulation. There's a little bit of debate back and forth of like, is search over? Do they have a good AI search? Are the chatbots going to do whatever? So I might take a call spread. I don't know yet. Right now, I'm still on the stock. We have till Wednesday, but it is a better, to me. It's a better setup than Netflix going into it, or even the banks. We'll see. Tesla's a decent setup too. To be honest, Tesla. A lot of my guys are coming in long today because it cleared 323, got back above the moving averages. It has room to here. But if you look here also, Tesla was, December of 2024 was 488, 465. Recently it was just at 367. So if you go back to, I don't know, you go back a long time. So Tesla was in December, a year and a half ago, it was higher. So it's still consolidating. I know their EV business is slowing, but the narrative around, autonomous vehicles and AI and robotics and this and that is still there. It's just a matter of, is Elon going to really do a third party? I doubt it. So I don't know. It's at least it's like kind of like there's a banter back and forth. I got to look at it also. I'm at the highs of my year. Most of my guys are at the highs of their year. Trying to manage positions. The money hasn't been in these names though. They've been just knickknacks. Anyway, let's move. Where's the money been? Money's actually been a lot in crypto. We caught a tremendous move in crypto in every which way. First trade we caught was Bitcoin. A few different times. Where you go to Bitcoin, it looks like it's even setting up another bull flag right now. Come on, Bitcoin. Remember, down here we had a ton of Bitcoin. At 89,000. Remember that when it broke out and went to 112, and then going into July 4th, we were buying the IBIT $62 calls. I was buying the Ethereum $22 calls. I was talking about how July 4th we're gonna have a Bitcoin holiday, and people were mad at me because it didn't happen that weekend, and we had to roll out an extra week. But then it happened a few days later, right here. didn't ever failed, never went below the 21 day, and wound up making money on 2 different sets of strikes, and it was awesome. And look at this, it looks higher. You could be long Bitcoin versus 115, and it looks like it's ready to go. I will say I sold my Ethereum on Friday. I just felt like I had too many positions on, and I made too much money there, and I was like, you know what? It looked extended. I was buying it in here in the base and, trimming the whole way up. And I was like, you know what? It's just too far from the 8-day. But I also said doesn't mean it's a short. And it had a really big move. And congratulations if you caught it. So anyway, Ethereum's up this morning. I think that you missed your setup there. If you're managing a trade, congratulations. Just know it's a little extended there. The drone names have been awesome. We made a lot of money in ACHR. Buying a lot of options into here. This was fantastic. I still think it can go higher. Just had 1, 2, 3, 4, almost 5 up days, so let it relax a little bit. I'm still there, but I'm smaller. We were buying $11 calls in here with the Power Plays. Power Plays was buying it. Everyone was buying it. Everyone I knew was buying it. And I didn't do this. I'm not that much travel. I just, remember it had its money raised and boom. Anyway, it hit a high of 1373. I'm smaller. RDW I've also been accumulating. Remember I'm like, it's going to fill this gap. Well, it filled the gap. Looks really good. So I'm still with both of these. I think it goes higher. I'm still in UMAC. I'm buying a dip here. What's it called? We were buying it. Remember, we were buying it here, like size. And then that happened. And then they did the stupid money raise. So now I'm going to buy it in here because I do think it's 1311 is not going to be the high of the next 3-4 weeks. Then quantum computing names is IONQ. We're buying a ton of it down here, ton of options. Looks like it's on its way to, take out the highs of, 4830. Looks like it's going to continue and go right through there. QBTS, you can't be upset either. looking good, looking like it's going to get above this 1977 at some point. I'm in that name too. I'm in all three of them actually. Looks like a little sideways action, and this thing's going to be taking that out. QUBT, lagging a little bit, but I'm still, again, they take their turns. I'm accumulating that one too. All in all, you can't be upset. So you have the drones names that are doing great, the quantum computing names that are doing great. You have Mag 7 names taking their time or taking their turns. Nvidia paid us, so many different ways that it's crazy. Remember when I was on, spaces with the guys and we were talking about how we're getting worn out here, and then boom, it triggered and got above all this, and it's been trending since. So many beautiful things. Beautiful, I tell you. Anyway, still looks good. Still trending. Um, I actually, I got rid of it here, so I didn't really go back to it, which I'm fine with. I took so many money trades out of that. Some people are like, hey, Red Dog, what about Apple? Is Apple finally going to do something? I have it on as a power play. It's got to stick. Like, we played it here. Remember this great trade? Had it for 4 days, made money, got out of it at Red Dog reversal. It's been hanging in here. I think Apple's, you could be long versus 207-ish. Maybe it takes out 212.40 and goes. Recently we made a lot of money in China. China! Kidding. But we bought that right. I was buying, FXI calls in here. I got to very small into this spot, but I'm still staying there. Some guys went with Baba, broke above this. You could have been long versus the gap. I also bought Tiger. I was accumulating Tiger. It doesn't look like much, but I'm telling you, I was buying options in here and had a really big move. Now I'm in options in stock. I'm like all spread out, doing all these different things. That's why, you got to be prepared. You got to be on your game. Because things are moving around. Let me see what my dogs are talking about here. I have 5 minutes left. SMCI gave me a good trade, not the best trade. I am in Amazon. I'm in stock and options. Amazon looks real tight here. It held its trend line again. It's been a whole. See, the thing I've been doing with Amazon that's different is I'm not expecting a much out of it. I've been just buying dips, buying options. Every single time it dips, I buy a little options a little further out. I buy the stock, and I've been playing it. The high here is what, 227. Gets above that. Here's your spot. Remember, it held that 222-ish. So it's good to have levels. Yeah, I think Amazon can continue. WRD's, just a small name that did fine for us. Galaxy was big. A lot of guys made good money there. What's it called? Amazon I like. Amazon's not reporting this week. I think it's reporting next week. So we'll see where it is, come next week. But I'm in stock and I'm in options. So whenever I'm in stock and options, my alpha team knows they better be focused there and they better be involved in there also. All right. So Kenneth says biotechs with interest rate down today. Okay. XBI gave us a trade. It just, did a little bit of a reversal, was loose and wide on. I bet you this candle, I'm not in it anymore, would have got me out. So it's getting annoying, We caught a big money trade here, when I was buying the $86 calls for it to see 89.50, and that was it. Sometimes I just want to catch a money trade and I don't need to like massage it, manage it, and stay with it because then you're just too spread out. I did that in the IWM and the XBI. Toast is a pain in the ass, option wrap. I'm sorry. What a pain. That's just so damn choppy. I know it did break above this spot. Maybe it can go higher. It is what it is. I like rum. Yes. I don't drink rum. I don't like brown alcohol, but rum does look good. Rum to me, I feel like, their CEO, which usually is pro stock, if you remember, went to 17. They were, buying Bitcoin. They had the whole treasury system. They started buying it when Bitcoin was below 80. I would think they would come out some kind of news about it. I know a lot of people are on their platform. It's above the moving averages. I was buying a lot of it in here, and I have stock. I have options. I think this thing should. I don't know why it wouldn't get to at least this 1085-ish, if not more. If they would just come out and start talking about how much money they're making in their Bitcoin and the whole spiel. But rum is good. Rum is good. Grab. See, these are like low quality names. I'm in them also because I've made so much money in the high quality names. Like I've made so much money in Dash that I'm like, you know what? I could put some money into this. It's supposed to be the Dash of overseas, and it's moving along. But I'm not hyper focused on it. I'm in the stock and I'm in options for August. If you look at the weekly chart, it looks pretty sick. Like I just got to go. They got to come out with something, and it's got to clear this 570 area, and then there's nothing. There's have this whole void here. This is where it came out when it came public and everyone was all excited about it. It was 10 to 17, and now it's been under accumulation for quite some time. So yes, I am in a lot of grab. Remember Dash? I was telling you guys about down here. Dash was literally, 144ish when I showed you this cup and handle. I'm like, hey guys, remember when this would come public? Not a lot of companies came public in 2021. I could at least get back to here, and guess what? It's building a nice little bull flag right in there. But this is when you want it to really get juicy. This is when my guys are going to town on this. But we played it really well. It's been up on the power plays. It's been up there. But some are saying that this grab, could have at least a move to like $8. So if I were you guys, I would be putting some grab on maybe for September. Buy the buy the $6 calls, $7 calls for September, October, and forget about it. Kenneth, I got to say, Fibonacci's grandson had the best call in QS. Another name. There's so many names that you could be involved in. If you're not looking for a top and you're looking for setups, look at this move in the QS. Holy cow. I was sitting at my desk doing a happy hour. The news came out on QS, and all of a sudden, Fibonacci's grandson, who's on the Alpha team, was like, hey, this is one of my favorite positions. This is big news. I think I played it up until about $8 and then stopped, and oh my goodness. This stock could have made your entire year. One little name, if you stayed with it and knew what was going on. And you said, hey, you know what? I'm going to buy it versus the gap. I'm going to add 2 and it takes this out. Here's 952, and it gets above that. It's going to go, and boom. There's a lot of names like this. That's why a lot of people are in this business. When you're in this business and things are good, you could have a year or two that pays for your decade of even keel. Bull was a great trade. APLD was a great trade. PayPal, I'm in it. One of my friends likes it. I don't know if I don't really like it. I'm in options. I think it's fine. It's not a hyper focus. It's actually a little tight right here. It's interesting. One of those names that Kramer killed everybody with, but I'm not going to talk about that. Yeah, PayPal looks all right. I'm in options. I'm not in options in stock. But it's so funny how many names are out there, TEM should take out its range. Okay, you know what? I'll take a look at TEM. This is one of those type of names that when it wakes up, it can go. It's just, if you've been hyper focused on this, you're not making money. But it's been basing, channeling, keep it on your radar, put some alerts in. I don't know if there's options, maybe by the $70 calls. Kind of like this NBIS. NBIS, this one is really hard. But it looks like it can go. Just because it was hard here doesn't mean it can't take this out now. So keep this on your radar. Same thing happened with us with real quickly before I leave you with ASTS. This wound up turning into one of my biggest winners of the year. And I almost stopped playing it. Right around here when it looked like it was going to go and it failed, I'm like, I'm not playing the stock anymore. And then I said, Red Dog, think about it. Use the Red Dog mindset. Think about, it's basing. Like look at this friggin' chart. The stock went from literally 4 to 39. It needed time to consolidate. It needed time for institutions to accumulate it. So the old school Red Dog would be like, it's going on the do not trust list. The new school Red Dog was like, now it's ready. Went through 29 through 35 through 39, gave you a big move. Remember here, I rebought it back for power plays. I was buying options and boom, made a lot of money. And I probably back in the day wouldn't have went back to it. So I evolved and learned as a trader different things, and I got mentally tougher. So it's really, you have to have the right mindset to execute on the X's and O's because everyone's looking at the same charts, but not everyone's executing on them the same way. And anyway, congratulations if even there's so many ways to make money here. And this is a name I had no idea what the hell this thing was, a year ago. So that's the beauty of the business. You get new leaders that follow the same rules above pivot points, above moving averages, using a tier system. So just stay on your game, guys, and just make sure you don't give up on this. And if you've been bare on the brain because you're too negative on Trump because you don't like him, just because you don't like Trump doesn't mean you don't like this. You can't use technicals in the market just because you don't agree with the Middle East, whatever. Like you got to take your likes and dislikes out of the market and just use pure technicals because if you use those, they don't lie. People lie. Red Dog doesn't lie, but people lie out there, and I don't want to see you friggin', getting out of the stock market because you're just too opinionated and you learn some bad habits. There's times to change. If you want to make changes, you better make changes in all of your systems. All right, guys, good luck today.